Hello, Kanurit Beat. My name is Paula Siksik, and I work at the Alaska Native Heritage Center. Cross-cultural communication and awareness. Objectives: demonstrate a greater understanding of Native Alaskan cross-cultural communication methods. Demonstrate an awareness of proper protocol and etiquette while visiting Alaska Native culture and communities. Understanding and demonstrating appropriate cross-cultural communication and awareness is essential in interactions between people of different cultures. As employees of Alaska Visitor Industry, you play a pivotal role as Alaskan ambassadors, especially as you introduce visitors to Alaska Native culture and help them gain a greater understanding of proper etiquette and decorum as they travel throughout the state. Visitors oftentimes need to be reminded that they are guests and should be mindful of how their actions may be perceived. You may be the first, or in some cases, the only source of information for the visitor about this important part of the Alaska visitor experience. Through your efforts, visitors will be better received and will feel more comfortable personally if they are prepared and informed when they meet Alaska Natives and visit Alaska Native communities during their travels within the state.
So one of the things that are important about cross-cultural communication or etiquette is just, first of all, recognizing that you do come from a culture. A few people I've met, not everybody, but I've met a few people. In fact, for instance, on a plane ride back from Washington, D.C. back to Alaska, a woman on the plane asked me where I was from, and of course, most people would just tell the person with the city they were from. But I went in to talk about my people, the Sukbiak, and well, I didn't stop there. It's a 5-hour flight, so I talked about Yupiks and Chupiks and Inupiaks and Athabascans, and she turned to me and said, "Oh, I'm so jealous of Native people. They're so in touch with your culture." And I kind of laughed because, you know, it's just everyday life, and you know, it takes practice. You have to practice teaching about your culture. And what I said to her was, well, no, I didn't ask her where did you come from or where are you from. I asked her, what culture do you come from? And she really truthfully looked me in the eye and said, I don't come from a culture, I come from LA. And I realized that a lot of people grow up not even understanding or realizing they're a bear of culture. The important part about knowing that you come from a culture is that once you realize you're a part of a culture, then you realize that people do things differently than you do. You can appreciate differences in culture and similarities as well. So I went in to ask, I asked her, what culture do you come from? So we spent the rest of the flight basically figuring out what culture she came from. It was very difficult at first because a lot of the aspects that make up culture, well, they seem like everyday mundane things, just like I said. And so I wrote culture on a little piece of paper, and I asked her, why don't you believe you're a bear of culture? And she said, well, I only speak English. And somehow she believed that because she only spoke one language, that meant she wasn't a bear of culture. But then I reminded her of all the English-speaking countries of England and India, Kenya, and they are all very different in the way they do things. New Zealand, Australia. She started to understand, but then what I did was I started asking questions about, or asking her to tell me stories about who she was. Come to find out that she was Hispanic and that her parents didn't want her to learn the Spanish language because she did grow up in LA, and of course there was a lot of prejudice towards quote-unquote Mexicans taking their jobs. And so because she only spoke English, she felt she didn't have the right to claim Hispanic heritage. So that was pretty interesting. But when we talked more about that, it didn't sound so different than, say, Native people in Alaska, that people gave up their native languages, our parents, our grandparents, so that they could be good, upstanding, hardworking American citizens. And so we had a connection. If there's a moment where you feel uncomfortable, or like you're going, what's going on? Then you might be having a cultural moment at that time where you don't really understand what's happening, or there's a ritual that's taking place and you're not really a part of it. And I'm sure people can understand that in some sense. When a Native person doesn't look you in the eye when you're talking to them, doesn't mean that they're not interested in what you're talking about. They're respecting you in some cultures in Alaska. That to look you in the eyes to somehow disrespect you. And so if you were from a different culture and you expect somebody, look at me when I'm speaking to you. Well, why would I do that? It's so disrespectful. You see how that works? And so with a lot of cultures that we deal with at the Alaska Native Heritage Center, is we run into this a lot, handshaking, or the amount of space that we have between us, the pitch in my voice, my body language, all these things come into play, and if they're taken the wrong way, again, there could be some terrible things that happen that come out of it, that total misunderstanding. One of the things that we talk about at the Heritage Center, too, is, interethnic communication, which has a lot to do with etiquette, because a lot of stereotypes or misconceptions can come out of simple things like tempo of speech. Or like if certain people talk too fast, then you can never get a word in edgewise. And so they control the conversation. And yet they don't even realize they're speaking so fast. Other people who speak slow maybe never get to finish what they're thinking, or they're finished their thought. When I'm speaking along and I take a long pause to kind of collect my thoughts, and then someone else jumps in, and then I never really get to finish what I was thinking. And so, and then you can see that one person is being rude, one person is controlling the conversation, one person is stupid because they speak so slow. And so all these things come out of a simple thing like tempo. Just thinking about all these times, all these things that my own self, and I teach this stuff at the Heritage Center, all the mistakes I've made and misconceptions. And one of the things I've learned is never make assumptions. I cannot tell what you're thinking. You can't tell what I'm thinking. I can't presume that I know what your intentions are. If something comes up and you're not sure of what the intentions were, you need to ask. I think for the most part, most people's intentions are good, and that we don't understand words in the same way. We don't say them in the same way, and that, again, when people jump to conclusions, that's when things happen. I mean, bad things happen. But again, it's all about clear communication, knowing your intentions, letting your intentions be known, and that's just giving people common courtesy. I know it, of course, they say common courtesy, but maybe it's not so common, or maybe you're trying to be showing courtesy, but it just comes the wrong way. I think sometimes when people travel to Alaska, they don't know what to expect, because they know it's separate from the United States. I mean, we're up in our own little area, but we are part of the United States. So I think they get the sense that it's exactly like the rest of the lower 48. Alaska's different, and that Native people are a part of everyday life. They're at the bank. They're the teller. They're the people putting money in the bank. The grocery store, the checker, the shopper, the car salesman, the tour guide, the person taking a tour. We're an integral part of everyday life here in Alaska, not something that's set aside. A lot of times I've traveled to villages and they knew I was going to be there, and a lot of times connections are really important. So if you meet somebody, share your story about where you're from, who your family is. And it's so bizarre when you make connections with people that you would think you have nothing in common with from another part of the whole United States. Connections are really a neat thing to make, and I think a lot of people do that in Alaska. Just realize that you are a bearer of culture also, and that, when that lady said, "I'm so jealous of Native people," you're so in touch with their culture. But I grew up not even understanding what it meant to be Native. It wasn't until I got older that I started putting the pieces of the puzzle together and how I see the world. But, I think we don't just we do celebrate Native culture here at the Heritage Center, but the purpose is to bring awareness that everybody is a bearer of culture. And so no matter where I go, no matter what I do, my culture is with me all the time. And so just reminding that the people who are taking this training, just to be mindful that not to get stuck in a rut, that the way I think is the way everybody thinks. And that what I'm trying to explain, this person from another country has clarity in what I'm trying to convey. That's not the case. And just be always, mindful of that, and that they are a bearer of culture as well.
Cultural values consist of beliefs that are shared by an individual, group, or society. In Alaska, there are 10 universal core values that are accepted and acknowledged within Alaska Native culture. These include: show respect to others, because each person has a special gift. Share what you have, because giving makes you richer. Know who you are, because you are a reflection on your family. Accept what life brings, because you cannot control many things. Have patience, because some things cannot be rushed. Live carefully, because what you do will come back to you. Take care of others, because you cannot live without them. Honor your elder, because they show you the way in life. Pray for guidance, because many things are not known. Seek connections, because all things are related. These values help serve an important purpose within Alaska Native culture and are meant to inspire and guide one's behavior, actions, and deeds.
With all the guests we have from around the world, you know, when we get the Italian who wants to hug you, and the Englishman who won't even touch you, and you know, and it's just a joy to work with people from around the world, and again, just giving the benefit of the doubt, and again, you know, being a host of Alaska, hence the name, you know, CuturalHost, and just being a good representative and open-minded, and knowing that most people, again, don't intend to be offensive, but when something happens, you just let them know that it was offensive, or that you did take it in that way, even though maybe that wasn't the intentions. As a host yourself, and then you ask them, so where are you from? Oh, really? I've always wanted to be there. What is it like? I'll tell you what, those people are going to be happy, and so happy that you're interested in them and their culture too.
Cultural awareness and respect begin with knowledge. When you learn and share information about our culture with visitors, you enrich the lives of others. You also gain a sense of pride in the place where you live. We hope that you continue to learn and take advantage of the many cultural resources that are available throughout the state of Alaska. For more information on the Alaska Native Heritage Center, please call us at 330-8000 or visit us at our website at alaskanative.net. Thank you. Koyana.